Soraya Sepahpour-Ulrich is an independent Iranian researcher and writer. She joins us from Irvine in the U.S. state of California. Welcome to the program, Soraya. So let's look first at this nuclear deal. Iran's supreme leader is insisting that sanctions should be lifted on the same day that the deal is signed. But wasn't the framework agreed to in Switzerland for sanctions to be phased out gradually?
Well, it depends whose word you choose to believe. According to the State Department fact sheet, that's how it was worded, that they would be lifted gradually. But if you look at the platform that each president ran on, that's Rouhani and Obama, Mr. Rouhani made it a point of getting rid of the sanctions and improving Iran's economy. And before going into the negotiations, Foreign Minister Javad Zarif had said that this would be a win-win situation, and after the negotiations, immediately upon arriving at the airport, he had confirmed that sanctions would be lifted. The State Department, however, says something very different, and if you look at Mr. Obama's speech in 2008 to the powerful American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee, AIPAC, he said that he would engage in talks with Iran over the nuclear issue, so that when time comes and Obama makes very serious demands on Iran, if the Iranians refuse, then he could bring on board Russia, China, and other countries for further sanctions. So seeing the point of view which each president is coming from, where they're coming from, I'm inclined to believe the Iranians, and as just a matter of small correction, I'm an Iranian American. I live in the United States.
Yeah, is this tough talk, Soraya, by Iran's leaders, them trying to convince the naysayers, the hardliners in Iran?
No, it's got nothing to do with that. Even the people that one generally may think of as hardliners, the conservatives, and even the people, the head of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, embraced these talks, or the framework of the agreement, based on the understanding that the sanctions would be lifted immediately. And Ayatollah Khamenei is only repeating what had been put forward by President Rouhani and his Foreign Minister Zarif. It has nothing to do with appealing to domestic politics. In fact, the opposite would be true, because I think just about everybody in Iran backs this deal because, and they're willing to make concessions, which they don't need to, with the understanding the sanctions would be lifted. And you must remember, your viewers must bear in mind, that sanctions are a form of warfare. There is no way the Iranian delegation would have gone into these talks and had accepted to make concessions and give up or alter the NPT according to America's wishes, because under the NPT, Iran has not violated.
Okay, sorry for jumping in, Soraya. I doubt, from what we've heard of those talks in Switzerland, that those other world powers will agree to sanctions being lifted immediately. There's concern that Iran will go back on the deal if the sanctions are lifted too quickly. So what are your thoughts? Will there be a deal or not?
I'm not sure which world powers you're referring to. If you listen to Russia, last year in 2014, a high-ranking Russian minister had said that sanctions are economic warfare. Mr. Lavrov made it very clear that he's opposed to snapback sanctions. And I think China understands that the sanctions would hurt its ASEAN partners. And I think they all agree that this has been a unilateral push by the United States, not only to impose sanctions on Iran, but to play these games. And America is cheating from the onset. So I'm not certain why you would believe that the other partners involved in this deal were opposed to the lifting of sanctions altogether. I mean, they're all lining up to do business with Iran. Russia has said that it would sell missiles, and China is dealing with Iran. So I think my understanding would be the opposite of what you just inferred.
Okay, now if we could look at the situation, please, in Yemen. Ayatollah Khamenei calling the Saudi-led intervention genocide. Very strong words. Is Iran going to take action to match these words?
Well, I don't think Iran is in the business of interfering in other countries. I think that Iran is opposing the fact that Saudi Arabia with armament from the United States is attacking another sovereign country, calling mayhem and mass murder and destruction of its infrastructure. So I don't know why that would indicate that Iran would jump in.
Well, but Iran is accused of supporting the Houthi fighters.
Well, Iran is accused of a lot of things, and if the mainstream media is to repeat what the accusations are, then they're giving lip service to the policies behind these accusations. Iran supports the independence and sovereignty of nations just as it demands that its independence and sovereignty be respected. I think Iran would not interfere. If Iran helps with the Iraqis, it's by invitation. If Iran lends moral support to those who are being oppressed, like the Yemenis now, before them Palestinians, many others, that's very different than shipping them bombs to drop on those people, just as United States is doing with Saudi Arabia. I think we should distinguish between moral support and actual support versus bombing and interference.
Soraya, thank you very much for speaking to us. We're going to have to leave it there for now. Soraya Sepahpour-Ulrich is an independent Iranian researcher and writer.